Don't listen. I don't know anything about the stock market.
I do.
Okay.
I've been to a stock exchange.
Yeah, you invested in Bitcoin. The bubbles burst, man.
The
Okay.
bubbles not burst. Don't be ridiculous.
Hello. And, it's good to see you back here, I wasn't sure if you were going to come back after the previous episode when Tom screamed something about minorities being responsible for a disproportionate amount of crime, Tom.
I still agree. That still maintains to be a fact.
But hey, we got two albums here to take your mind off of it. One of which is sure to take your mind off of it. The other of which is even sure to take your mind off of that because they're both great albums, aren't they, Tom?
We'll see, sir.
Yeah, we will see, I guess. And then we have two pretty good singles as well. Okay, so the running order today, ladies and gentlemen, will be FIDLAR, Almost Free, followed
Ariana Grande. Thank you. Next.
Followed by Slow Down, Maverick Sabre, and Jorge Smith.
For the Portuguese listeners out there.
And Link Up by Buddy.
With many features.
Et al, yeah. With many people. Okay. Namely, Thundercat. But okay, alright. We're 1 minute, 2 minutes in.
We said nothing about music.
Yeah. So, FIDLAR, Almost Free. Let's get this on now. 2 minutes in. Alright. Okay, so it's like, here's one thing, Tom. I know you hate this album. Okay, that much clear to me. But
it's true.
I just want to preface it by talking about the band and like where I know them from. So essentially, I just found them through like GTA 5. They had a fair few songs on there, and they were part of this like early 2010s like neo garage rock scene that was sort of going on for a bit, like California SoCal garage rock thing. There was like Tyson there. I don't know if Mr. Well, there's a fair few people, but definitely Ty Segall was there as well. And I like Bass Drum of Death, stuff like that. But yeah, it was way more lo-fi than this. This album's like it's far better produced and it's got a much fuller sound. But also the sound is completely different to what they've done before in some areas. In other areas, it's very much the same. But okay, let's start it off with the opener. Get Off My Rock. It's a pretty bold opener, don't you think, Tom?
I think it's a mess.
I think it's cacophonous, but in a good way.
Horribly obnoxious song.
I'll agree. It's
the singing in particular, and this will be a theme throughout my review of this album.
You hate the singing.
He gave me a migraine. For real. How is this guy a singer in a popular band?
Again. He's never sung like that on previous albums, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I could appreciate how obnoxious and bold and cacophonous it was, though. It was really bluesy. It sounded like it was on steroids. With these, like, the distorted vocals and slide guitar and harmonica. It was a bit of a mess, I'll give you that. But I thought it was a pretty lovable mess after a while. Listening to it for, like, fourth time, I kind of liked it. I guess you may say I've developed Stockholm Syndrome for that song, but I don't think it's that bad, man, to be honest. But definitely the next track is a lot better. But then, like, it kind of just sounds like a Ty Segall song from, like, Manipulator or something. Like, it's got some great psychedelic guitar, but it doesn't sound very original, in my opinion.
Yeah, this was probably the only time where I actually liked the singing on the album, on this song. And the guitar was really nice as well, yeah.
It sounds just like Ty Segall, man. Then
Maybe I should listen to them instead.
Yeah, Ty Segall's a lot better. But and he's more experimental. You'd actually like him. Listeners, listen to Ty Segall. He's great.
But then, after
we
that,
have this.
by myself. Oh my god.
Wait. Can I just say, like, it opens up like old Fiddler. It opens up like this by just like this song called. It's a lo-fi acoustic guitar song called "I Just Wanna Die," and it's pretty funny. But this this is AIDS. This is actual AIDS. I don't know what happened with this song. It just goes completely out of left field, turns into a pop track out of nowhere. And
It's
there's not,
cringy millennial rock. That's what it is.
it does. I don't think it's even rocky, man. Like there's bongos. I don't get it. It's Marmite. It's Marmite, but I get because some people have to like it. Because didn't you say it's the most listened to song on Spotify right now?
It was top of the list. I don't know how Spotify works, but
It's definitely like the most listened to in that current moment, but it's fucking trash, man. I'm gonna be
and
honest.
it's all built around. I think it's trying to be funny, isn't it? But it's all built around a dead meme.
Well, no, that's one thing. I mean, it is a dead meme, but I do like the chorus. I'm cracking one open with the boys by myself. It's
It doesn't
pretty
even
funny.
make sense.
It does make sense because you're
The-
cracking one open with the boys, but the boys aren't there.
so you're not.
They're
So therefore, you're not cracking one open with the boys. It's philosophically impossible.
cracking one open in the boys is not equal to cracking one open with the boys by myself. Proven. Okay. Right, then we got Flake, which is this like more rocky track. Well, it's a lot more rocky. It's got this pretty good riff, but like it also goes nowhere, in my opinion. It has an okay riff, like it's circular, but it just doesn't go anywhere. And I'm not the biggest fan of the chorus either. It just feels so like lackluster. This
The
song, in my
chorus
opinion.
was so cringy.
Yeah, I mean it's going for something anthemic, but there's far better anthemic in this album. Alcohol for one is better. The intro is like this pretty playful solo, just on its own, and it just nosedives into this really heavy, edgy main riff. It's irreverent, it's hedonistic, it's brash. The guitars are brash. The instrumentation is like very, I don't know, rudimentary perhaps. It just reflects sort of the attitude it's going for. The effects before the drop, where it got really distorted, I was a big fan of, and it has a pretty good solo. I think it's one of the better tracks. It reminded me of like Cocaine from one of their earlier albums. But I'll agree that like some of the lyrics on this album are pretty damn cringe.
I
But
thought this was another cringy song, in my opinion, as well. As soon as it was called Alcohol, I had a feeling it was going to be
yeah,
a dumb song about being a bit depressed and
wait,
needing a
why did
drink.
you recommend it?
Pardon?
We're gonna have to save this for later. Just the next time Connor's on, we're gonna have to ask him why he recommended it. Um, but hey, I don't hate it. Definitely not as much as you do. I don't.
I
Yeah,
think he just told you it existed. Don't blame this on Connor.
I'm not blaming on him.
Hey, I like the next song.
Yeah, I love it. The next song is my favorite track on the album, Almost Free, the title track. And is it coincidental that the best track is purely instrumental?
I don't think so. It's my
No.
favorite as well.
Yeah.
The singing,
It's
the singing and the lyrics are by far the worst thing to ever happen to me.
Yeah, the lyrics are like sometimes they can be a bit funny, but for the most part they're edgy. Like they would have been cool 6 years ago, if that. They've seemed a bit out of touch now.
So
I think
yeah, it
with
had the great
part,
driving guitar, then had a
yeah,
lovely trumpet solo,
ooh,
and then it went back
ooh,
to the guitar.
it's beautiful,
It
bluesy.
actually went somewhere.
Yeah, it's this really layered jam that just keeps on going and going. It's a gift that keeps on giving, as you said, and it's got this like driving beat, these hypnotic bluesy guitars and horns. It's very nice, very nice. Then we got Scam Likely. Like I love the saxophone at the end, but I don't know. I really don't like this track, man.
I didn't mind everything apart from the singing.
I just thought it was,
Once again.
I was hoping for something more like dark, or darker in tone. Yeah, it just didn't do it. But Called You Twice, I really like this song. It's it's got some funny lyrics talking about like I don't like your ironic attitude, and my friends didn't either. It's got some wholesome vibes to it, you know. It's got this complimentary duet, which sounds really nice when they first start out. It feels a bit like a bit of a time capsule from like I don't know, 6 years ago, if not longer. It sounds like something from the noughties, actually, in my opinion. It's got the multiple guitars in it as it progressed, added some depth to it, and has this anthemic chorus. I think it's pretty good. It'd be great live.
This is probably my second least favourite song.
Oh, okay.
I thought that the feature in particular was very awful.
The feature wasn't that good, but she
Although I did like the line that I think he kicked off the song with when he said, "When I left the gig and you didn't leave with me, I knew it was over." I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, and then he talks about not liking her ironic attitude the whole time, but he just put up with it. Pretty funny. All right, then we got Nuke, which is another one of the better tracks, even though it's like probably a minute and a bit. But it's this great short little track. It's hard psychedelic rock. Every drop in it feels like an explosion, like a nuclear explosion. It's great, but it's got this like strange soldering in it.
What's with the screaming? That was so unnecessary.
Oh, I liked it there. I thought it fitted. There.
It could have been done better though.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, but I thought it was warranted there. But like, then we got Too Real, which is here's something like the effect they had on the synth and the vocal. It felt like something out of like a Marilyn Manson album. I really wasn't sure what was going on here. It stands out in contrast, but then on the other hand, it doesn't feel entirely out of place in this album. And then the drop in it was great with these and especially with the lyrics like later on is like wailing these lyrics where he's sort of waxing philosophical but also ranting in a bit of a gangweed style about people looking at their phones. It felt a bit edgy, but it was fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, but then it was also like, coming from a millennial that probably does the exact same thing, so
well, he should be part of the offshoot of millennials who are now stoics, who completely throw away technology. Oh, no,
I'd counter that by saying, how would they know about cracking one open with the boys?
Fiddler, you've been found out. So you've been found out fiddling with your with the facts. Facts. There we go. Thanks, Tom. Nice save. All right, then we got Kick. I don't know, man. It's another like bluesy track, but like there's really not much going on here, in my opinion. I like the lyric about putting your career up your nose, but like he said it like a dozen times, so
that was one thing I noticed. Whenever there was a good line, it was never said just once.
No, you got to use those sparingly, otherwise they're not special.
It's like they knew how bad the writing was, so they had to pad it out with the same good lines over and over again.
Yeah, some of the tracks are far too long. But wait, okay, the next one, Thought Mouth, was pretty good.
I just wanted the album to be over by this point, so I didn't write anything about that song.
Oh, okay. Well, it's another sort of comical anthemic track, and it's got this kind of vulnerable chorus, playful verses, but it's also kind of self-aware. They play off the choruses and the verses play off each other well. One is saying like, "Oh, I think playing it cool and the verses just completely like exploding into vulnerability and stuff. It's pretty funny. And it has good rhythm to it. It's um, but then again, the chorus does begin to grate after a while. But once I noticed that self awareness, I did kind of like it. And there's a Whoops I Fell in Love um, line, I'm pretty sure, which has this pretty interesting EQ on the like octaves where it's like one low and one high at the same time. It's pretty cool to listen to. But then we have the closer, Good Times Are Over, which is easily one of the better tracks on this album.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty damn good, man. A great closer for it.
Although, did you not think the guitars sounded exactly like Smells Like Teen Spirit?
I was gonna say it's got this really grungy chord progression to it, but it's got the most punky and garagey vibe, and the grungy vibe also fits. I mean, just this sound like very much like Nirvana.
It sounded like that song. They were the same guitars, I swear.
But I mean, it wasn't like totally ripping them off. I thought it put an interesting spin on it. It was nice hearing some modern grunge. It had these edgy lyrics again, but it was just fun and effective closer, summing up the vibe of the piece pretty well. And it had this. I swear there was a female harmony in the end, in like the towards the tail end of the track, and I appreciated that. But yeah, this is a bit of a mixed bag for an album, and I hope they go in the more punky, garagey, grungy route as opposed to the poppy route. If they do that, I'm going to be pretty disappointed. You know, Tom, what would you rate it?
I mean, this is by far the worst thing we've reviewed, as
I
far as I'm
really
concerned.
the worst thing we've reviewed. I disagree with you there, man.
This was pretty awful.
It
I
wasn't.
think I'm going to give this a 2 because I like 2 songs.
Okay,
Sorry, Fiddler, but this was
that's
very
rough.
awful.
That's rough, man. I was
Do
hoping,
better.
but I didn't entirely hate it. There were some tracks which I really liked. I really liked the direction that some of the tracks are going in, but it's a bit of a mess, and the quality's all over the place, and the sound's kind of all over the place.
I thought the
So,
guitarist was the only one that could walk out of this with any credit.
what's
The
gonna happen?
singer was consistently awful. The
But
lyrics were pretty bad, and I don't know, the trumpet player was hit or miss. The percussion was pretty bad as well. It was just,
bro,
yeah, 2 for me. What do you say?
I'm giving it 5 to 6. Um, and I'm gonna have to debrief with Connor on this, find out where he heard it about it, and why he recommended it so strongly to us. He was very emphatic when he promoted this album.
I swear he just said it was pretty good.
Nah, he went off on like a 10-minute rant about how amazing it was.
Oh, he must have done that when I wasn't there.
Yeah,
Oh
I
well,
think
that's that done.
Okay. And that is the end of my book. So I wasn't able to review the next album or anything,
What?
Tom. I'm joking. I have another book. Yeah. Got him. It's 2019 and we hit it with the jokes. Okay. So the
Okay.
next album. Oh,
Ariana Grande. Or is
thank
it
you.
Grande? I never know.
Grande.
It's Italian. What would that be?
Grande.
Grande.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah. We just
Thank
offended.
you.
Comma.
Next.
Next.
This is her
2019.
5th studio album.
This is the first album of hers that I've actually ever listened to.
Quickly
Yeah.
following up the August's Sweetener album, which I actually did quite like as well.
Mm-hmm.
That had a lot. That had Pharrell Williams all over it. This one
Oh.
didn't have him on a single song. And so
No.
that did upset me a little bit when I first looked, and the only producers I recognised were the
Kenny.
Swedish guys. No, there wasn't Kenny Beats on this. That was also a bit disheartening.
Oh, that would have been amazing. Ariana Grande doing something with Kenny Beats. But nah, I think Rico Nasty's got dibs.
Mm. I mean, he's a
Okay.
busy man, but
Sure he is. This okay, what are your thoughts, Tom?
I think this was a different direction. Obviously, it was a bit more somber, a bit more down.
Yeah, definitely.
But pretty great pop album, and I would like to go into why that was.
Yeah.
We could
Of course.
start with Imagine.
Yeah, we do start with Imagine.
Which was a single. It came out around New Year's.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I thought the
don't know anything.
singles really didn't paint any picture at all for what was to come.
Really?
Which was quite bizarre, but I guess it was a good thing in the way.
I don't know, man. Seriously?
What do you mean?
What were the singles?
Imagine, Seven Rings, and Thank You Next.
So you weren't expecting a trappy direction from this?
No, but anyway.
Okay.
So this one was a very spacey, dreamy trap song.
That's a recurring theme. A lot of the instrumentals in this are dreamy and spacey. Yeah.
And that spacey is a pun if you wait till the third song. But back to this.
Yeah.
It was a song all about imaginary relationship and how she wishes this person was like all these things, but alas they aren't. Always sucks, doesn't it?
I've got to say, like, wait, two things. Number one, this album was a very pleasant surprise for me because I didn't know what to expect coming into it. I was expecting it to be trash, actually, pop trash, and it genuinely isn't. It's a well thought through project, and it's very well put together. So
And it has an interesting concept, I think, running throughout it as well.
yeah, and I'm a big fan of the trappy elements in it, especially here. Here's one thing, right? This is the first of many tracks. The synth and the synth bass in this whole album is so thick, you know, like it's beautiful. She has some great harmonies and melody. Her vocals are like genuinely impressive. She hits these really high notes on this track, and the chorus is really nice when she's got this like imagine which sort of turns mild. It's really nice to listen to. Yeah, it's a really lovely sound to it.
Yeah, and the end of the song when all the strings come in, and like you were saying, she keeps hitting those high notes.
Oh,
it's just a perfect crescendo.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Very nice opener. Not as nice as Get Off My Rock though.
Do you stop?
Okay.
You know that ain't true.
Now we got Needy. She's going from strength to strength here, Tom. It's another very powerful performance. The chord progression is very nice. It's a pretty interesting chord progression as well. Like it had this interesting sound to it.
It sounds both happy and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the synths and the strings that make it sound happy. I think on its own it would be a bit more menacing, but I agree. I think it's really nice.
It's a combination of like minor and major keys or something. We've got to go to school for music theory so we can talk with more confidence on that. But yeah, definitely, I agree. Like, it has this very strange sound to it, in a good way, in a very good way.
And I like the way that her sort of vocal range was used here. The verses were all quite quiet, and then the hook was much louder, and it really stood out.
Yeah, and it has this.
That was really nice.
Strings come back again at the end, and there's this soulful vocal performance, and it's the first of many tracks where there's a tangible like vulnerability to it, which is a recurring theme on this album.
Yeah, lots of talk about her flaws and her current unstable mental state, as well as, like you said, just not feeling
100%.
secure about yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, especially like I never I never thought of her as like a person before. You know, I always thought of her as just this pop idol. But yeah, this album and how vulnerable her performance is, and how good she is, and what she's talking about. I mean, you kind of realize that she's a genuine human being with experiences, with some pretty bloody rough experiences, especially in recent memory.
Yeah, I think that's why this album's come out so recently after the last one, because on that one she was sort of happy. She was engaged to Pete Davidson. I don't know if the Manchester bombing had happened at that time. When was that?
Manchester bombing was
That was before August, wasn't it?
I don't know.
But still, I think maybe that was just putting a brave face on that whole thing. But since then, her engagement's fallen apart, and Mac Miller, her longest relationship, has passed away as well. Just a rough little while, and I think this is a sort of response to that, and you can see why in the lyrical tone throughout this album. Although that isn't really followed on this song, in my opinion. The next song, NASA.
Yeah, it's this dream track with this this chorus is like such an earworm with like NASA.
Yeah, that really pops in the mix, but I think the rest of it is sort of a basic trap song that doesn't really, not trap song, pop song.
Yeah, I'll give
that
you
doesn't
that.
really fit the vibe. But I agree, the hook's great.
But here's one thing: the bass here was like pretty top. It was very bouncy, round, thick. But yeah, as you said, like it kind of stands out because it's a pop album, but it's also not a pop album. It's not just a generic pop album. There's something more to this album. It's a bit deeper than that. And as you said, this kind of stands out as being a lot more surface level. There's not much to it. Whereas
although the playing on Star and Space was pretty nice.
But I was more of a fan of some of the further songs.
Like Bloodline.
Ooh, it really kicks the tempo up this track. This track, definitely.
Those Caribbean style trumpets, my God.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. And like the part of the backing instrumental, it sounds a bit muted here. It's obviously deliberate, and I don't think it's even that bad. It was just interesting. It wasn't as what's the word, like rambunctious or obnoxious. It was because I found the trumpets a bit obnoxious at first, but I kind of liked it by the end.
Yeah, they definitely, like you say, sort of jolted you into attention.
Yeah.
The last two songs, or even all of them so far, have been a lot more slow and quiet, and then this comes out of nowhere. And it's all about ditching toxic people in your life, friends with benefits, kicking them out, getting your circle straight,
living a good old Christian life.
Yeah, because you don't want toxic people around you, do you?
No, I mean all you need is in Jarcoin. But yeah, no, it's
Invest now.
There are some very good messages behind this album. She's really putting herself out there with this. And but
I cannot stress enough how good the trumpets are on this song.
I cannot stress how good the sample is on the next track.
Yeah, did you recognize the sample?
Yeah, it's from Tears.
Mm-hmm.
From Enter 36 Chambers. Wu-Tang classic. I was so surprised she actually used this. When I heard it the first time, I was like, what the frick? My dude. is going on here? We got a pop star, you having a musical allusion to one of the most ghetto rap groups out there, you know?
And not only that, but the sample perfectly foreshadows the theme of this song.
Yeah, definitely. It was, yeah, and she does her own thing with it, and it's great. It's got a good beat, great use of the sample, and like her message about not wanting to do one more fake smile, about wanting to be genuine. As you said, putting on a brave face. She just doesn't want to do that anymore. She's kind of sticking up for herself, embracing her vulnerability. And I think that's a really positive message. But also, it's interesting getting a peek behind the curtain into what the actual mindset of a person like this who's gone through these experiences, but is constantly in the limelight, is really like, and sort of the drama.
Yeah, and sort of being told that you can't let it all out, but that's the only thing that you want to do. It must be really difficult.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I love the vocal line as well in the chorus when she went ooh. Although obviously I could never do it that well.
No, Tom, you did a great job.
It's borderline genius, and the beat, doesn't that bounce?
Oh yeah.
It's one of those sort of I don't know if oxymoron's the right word, but where it's really it can make you feel good and get up and dance, but it's about a very sad topic.
I think you just say there's like a bit of dissonance there, but I don't think that quite covers it either. I know what you mean.
And I quite like the low-key outro as well. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, but then there's another interesting bit of composition on the next track. Bad Idea, with this kind of pop punky guitar. It reminded me of like the Lil Peep song that we reviewed quite a while ago. It sort of reminded me a bit of the guitar. Well, not entirely, but sort of that kind of vibe. No, it wasn't. It's this is a compliment. To kind of just preface it by saying, but so when the trap beat and bass come in, it's really cool. How you able to have this electric guitar over this like that traditional electric guitar over like trap beat and trap bass, and with this great full sounding swooping bass, especially on the parts where Ariana Grande's like vocals, I think it's in the chorus as well, like they both kind of swoop over each other. It's got this really nice flow to it. It's well put together.
It's mixed beautifully. And I really liked when the hook came around the second time and it had those really sassy child vocals sort of coming in afterwards.
This is something pretty cool, pretty special album, gonna say.
And it all revolves around her various bad ideas that she decides to act out with said lover.
Ruh-roh.
Namely, getting with that person in the first place being a bad idea.
Yeah.
All in an attempt to, and I quote, numb the pain.
Don't play yourself.
But equally, live the dream.
No, don't play yourself. And then we got this playful, seductive, dreamy track, Makeup, and
very
energy. Yeah.
Very dreamy and quite sassy as well.
That was an especially sassy track later in Rings. That's pretty sassy, I think.
Solving arguments in an interesting way. One might suggest.
Then there comes Ghosting. I think the emotional core of this album, if I'm being honest, I think it's the
centerpiece, isn't it?
Definitely. It's the best track in my opinion.
Wow.
It's got so much depth to it, musically and lyrically. It just embodies vulnerability and it's so introspective. I completely didn't expect anything like this from her, and I thought it was. It's the emotional core. It's got this kind of dreamy, melancholy vibe. She talks about guilt for still feeling for someone who she shouldn't feel for, crying over someone. In a platonic, these are platonic feelings, and they're not romantic feelings. But she still feels guilty for them. It's very emotive.
Yeah, it's all about Mac Miller.
Yeah, I thought so.
And sort of being unable to stop crying about them, even though she's with someone else, which I thought was interesting because on her last album, she had a song called "No Tears Left to Cry," which was sort of announcing that she was over him. And now, 6 months later, we've got
The truth.
Well, yeah.
I'm being honest
But
with
as you said, it was such a vibe. The instrumentals were also they were pretty, but they were also quiet to really let nothing distract from her voice and what she's saying.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very sad song, and you got to feel for her, man.
Oh yeah. It's a pretty great song. Then we got In My Head. There's this
It starts off with a voicemail,
yeah,
which I thought linked to the tracks quite well.
definitely. It was really, really well implemented. As you said earlier, like in the title track, imagine it was about falling in love with someone with an idea of someone, and here
Yes.
this was directly addressing that and providing someone with clarity on it, being concerned for someone going through that. Like how you really shouldn't get attached to an idea of someone. The person's
Indeed.
still the person, and they're never going to fulfill that fantasy in your head of them. But then like the actual track comes in and it's got this distorted trappy beat, and she has this trappy rap flow late in where the
Yeah.
beat's very, very pleasantly surprising. Yeah,
And the chorus was weird because her voice went all over the place.
Yeah, but
In a good
I mean,
way though, not like a mess like the fiddler singer, but
I gotta say, like, that album seems like a bit of a concept piece.
pardon?
Almost. Feels like almost a bit of a concept piece. This.
Yeah, as you said, it goes back to that idea, but ultimately, she seems to have let this person go, whereas before she was sort of fantasizing
Yeah.
it into reality on Imagine, whereas here, she's let them go at the end of the song
You
and
got to.
moved on to Seven Rings.
Yeah, damn.
Which, just to give a bit of context, she tried to get tattooed on her palm, but she missed a bit, and instead it's in the Mandarin, or not Mandarin, what's the Japanese language called?
Japanese.
Is it? I thought it had a special name.
Mm,
Well, anyway,
it's thinking of like Mandarin and Cantonese,
it was
Chinese.
meant to say Seven Rings, but instead it said Japanese barbecue. But she's changed it now, so it says Seven Rings.
Ay.
This was a single. It is bad. Think before you ink.
God damn it. And just don't get things inked in a foreign language you don't understand. That's so dumb, in my opinion.
I very much agree, but
hey, the song
we're
is
not going to
good.
join the Ariana hate train now, though.
No.
Riding the love train to this point.
Yeah. We're gonna keep it going. The Love Train's still got some steam.
Seven Rings, then.
It's a full-on trap number. It's got ad libs. It's got trap flows. It's a sort of a glossed up version of like a proper trap number. It's got she's taken a few of my favorite things like vocal melody and just like in the town on it, made her own thing of it. It's pretty impressive, and like she's actually rapping. It's pretty funny. Yeah, in a good way.
I didn't like her rapping very much at all at first, but it's really grown on me actually. I think it suits the whole vibe and style of the song perfectly.
Definitely. Ugh,
And just the way that she's moved on from guys,
Sounds a bit strong.
and her head's still a bit of a mess, but she's hanging out with her friends and shopping to cope with the drama. I especially like the second verse. I thought that was where the sass really kicked in. But the rap at the end had a nice Biggie reference as well, so all good as far as give me the loot.
Yeah, but like bloody Travis Scott did that as well.
Yeah, he actually sampled it.
Yeah.
It's a good phrase.
Yeah, it is a bloody good phrase. You know, whenever I go up to the porter asking for a post, I'm like, give me the loot! And he goes, I need to see a campus card. Okay. Then we got Thank You Next. Am I right in thinking this is the closer and the next song is a bonus track?
That is incorrect.
That is stupid. Why
No,
is this...
I'll explain. It makes sense.
Okay.
This was the lead single and the title track.
Yeah.
Thank You Next. Obviously, discussing her previous relationships and what she's learned from them and how she's moved on. Hence, thank you, and then next afterwards. So, thanks for everything you've given me. And move on. Yeah, healthy attitude. That's very true.
But why isn't it the closer, Tom?
Well, that's because the amazingly titled Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored brings home the whole concept of this album. Because we've got the dealing with your, you got the acknowledging you got problems, then you got the dealing with your problems, then the 7 rings and thank you next, getting the right people with you, moving on. But then here she admits that she's only human and she'll continue making mistakes, hence getting with this guy, making him break up with his girlfriend because she's bored.
That's some deep analysis there, dude.
I was just listening to it, and that's just what I felt.
Yeah, no, I totally follow your train of thought.
And this is my favourite song, by the way.
Really?
Oh my god. Oh, yes.
Wait, are we going to talk about Thank You Next briefly?
Yes, sorry.
Alright, I just don't want to skip over it. I thought it sounded a bit like a Frid track at the start.
Like a what track, sorry?
Did? Tiny bit. Chords and her like delicate vocals a bit. Like the hook on it was pretty cool, and I thought it would have been I can see why it's not the closer, but I thought it was a good closer at the time. And it talks about Mac as well. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, indeed.
Yeah, let's talk about breakup.
And I did think that the whole way it was done, it could have been very tasteless, but it was all done in a classy way. I thought no one feelings would have got hurt, apart from maybe Ricky. Made some songs about you, and now I listen and laugh. Pretty savage. But I liked the first one was talking about the exes. The second one verse was all about self-love, and then the last one, you only want to get married once. I can 100% get behind that.
Definitely.
Because divorce is expensive.
And also, marriage is a sacred bond between two people before God.
You might lose your Doge.
Yeah, you don't want Karen to take the kids.
Nope. So, back to Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the title?
I thought it's a pretty funny, irreverent title.
When I saw the track list released, there was nothing I wanted to hear more than Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored. Because that just screams sassy bad bitch, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's exactly what we get on here. We get this seductive, nocturnal, sexy, sassy, bad bitch the whole way through. It's pretty great. It's got one of the best beats and some of the best vocal mixing, especially in the pre-chorus, where
when it just suddenly slows right down.
And she has a harmony, one where she goes up one which goes down perfectly. They just converge and go past each other, and it's so weird. I like it. Yes, it's really good, and I can see why it's the closing out. And in light of that, I think it's a very, very strong closer.
I agree. I think it rounds off the album, the whole concept of what was going on,
really
the whole
well.
idea of the album perfectly.
God damn it! I never thought that Ariana Grande would like actually be a good musician in my head. I feel a bit bad for just like writing her off like that.
Well, I
But
mean, that's fair enough. She certainly started off that way, but I think her last two albums have been pretty great. This I've got to say, Sweetener was my favourite, but now I think it's got to be Thank You Next.
yeah, Thank You Next is pretty damn good. So thank you, and next album, please.
Oh snap!
Oh yeah, what are you gonna give it, Tom?
Oh man, we've gone from this is going to be complete opposite sides of the scale to me from our previous review. This has got to be a 9 for me.
Whoa! Bloody hell!
I've listened to it about 6 times and it only came out a week ago.
Damn.
I just love it. There's not really a song I dislike.
Yeah, I'm not gonna criticize you for liking it. I'm gonna give it an 8 because there was just one song I really wasn't the biggest fan of NASA. If you know, and Bloodline, I'm not sure about those two tracks, and I've complimented them. There are things that I like about them, but in the grand scheme of things, I find they kind of detract from the overall idea of the album. If I'm being honest,
NASA certainly, I agree.
but I'm not meaning to detract from the fact that this is a bloody good album.
Hey, 8's a good score.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that this has come from someone like her. And yeah, honestly, guys, check it out. Seriously.
I mean, how do you go from being on Nickelodeon to making this album?
I feel bad for her that she had to put up with Dan Schneider. That's all 9 circles of hell right there. That dude is a creep. Okay. And I hope that comment doesn't come back to bite me. Right, now we're going to go on to singles time. It's singles time. Everyone's favorite time.
Made even more important by the fact this is being recorded on Valentine's Day.
Oh! And whoever came up with that jingle is getting axed. Right, we're going to start it off with Slow Down by Maverick Sabre and Jorge Smith.
Or Georgia to you and me.
It's Georgia Smith. I thought it was pretty funny. All right, what are your thoughts, Tom? Pay for your thoughts.
Well, I quite like the way the track certainly started. I thought the way it went slowly, and then with sort of a simple guitar plucking instrumental, and then when the hook came in, everything exploded. All these drums came in, and you could hear Georgia in the background as well.
Yeah.
But lyrically, I'm not really sure what this song was doing. But I thought Georgia Smith was pretty fantastic on this
Me
song.
too. I thought that Georgia Smith really stole the show. She was hitting these pretty high notes, and she had some really soulful parts to her performance. It was pretty cool. And I mean, the instrumental with this blasty nocturnal thing with these, especially with the guitar. But as you said, when the drums come in, it's a pretty driving beat. But I don't know, it feels like it has this cool kind of haze to it all. But ultimately, I don't really know if this track has legs. I think it should have been shorter. It doesn't really go anywhere. In my opinion, I just think it's a bit boring after a while. After like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes.
You got the 2 verses, And for me, it should finish after that, but they flush a bridge and another chorus out of it, which
Yeah,
I get
honestly,
it. You want more listening time, but
nah. If you just make an absolutely banging track, you'll make up for the listening time by having a better track.
yeah, I mean, this was a good song, but nothing particularly
Special.
fantastic apart from
No.
Georgia.
And in complete contrast to this is the other single
Oh man!
by
So,
Buddy.
Buddy, this week he dropped 4 new songs for the deluxe version of his album. Oh my god, I've forgotten its name. Amateur Hour. Keep talking, Tom.
Don't worry. Okay.
Harlan and Alondra.
And I listened to some other tracks on the album. It's got some pretty big features. Snoop, Lord and Savior, has a feature on it. And this track has bloody more features than I can remember. But I
Okay,
do one,
we got
Thundercat.
Bass, Guap
Alright.
Daddy Thor 4000, JID.
That is a bloody cool name.
Cool name, not cool verse. Ari Lennox. And Ari Lennox and Kent Jams did the chorus. But this really caught my eye,
It's got
as you
such a
did say earlier, because of the production duo that produced it.
Mhm. Who
Brainfeeder's very own Thundercat and Flying Lotus.
hell yeah.
2 people I
And
never thought I'd hear me producing a Buddy track, but here we are.
what a
And
match made in
what a
honest.
phenomenal job they did.
Yeah, this is like perfect. This is so good.
The bass
There's
in particular is so constant and so crazy. It's great.
I'm gonna say it's hypnotic almost. I think it's amazing. And it has this really funny hook. Talking about, your dude's always gonna link up. And
Friends always do link up. This is true.
always do link up. And this whole track has this great sense of rhythm. I can't stress that enough. There's these. Am I right in saying they're like boom bap 90s drums? Or am
Yeah,
I
and I thought
completely?
that the bass line was really odd as well. That was obviously a Flying Lotus
That always
edition.
has weird sounding bass lines with these pretty. He uses chords loads. Like you don't really hear bass chords that often.
Yeah, you can
What?
hear his playing style, and I think the sort of
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a sub bass or a synth line or what, but
Yeah.
the what Flying Lotus brought here as well. It just played a crazy instrumental, and then
Oh
like you
yeah.
said, the hook was great. Buddy's opening verse was great. I mean, Bastard repeat himself, but I quite liked what he did there. It
There
was
was
just Guap Daddy 4000. What was? I don't know. I
here's
didn't like his voice.
the third vocal, the third verse. I thought was like really good. The third and the fourth verse, they both had these really fast flows. The third verse especially, it reminded me of a Tribe Called Quest. I'm not quite sure who, but I mean, it reminded me of that kind of a vibe. As
I
I
will
said,
agree though that JID brought it home really well.
mhm. And
Dreamville's very own.
excellent rhythm. All of the vocal performances are unique and distinct on this track as well. There's no one who
Definitely.
sounds like someone else or mimicking someone else, and you can always tell who's not necessarily who's performing if you don't know the names, but you can always tell a different person is performing at that given moment, and that's really refreshing to listen to.
One thing
Yeah,
I did think was weird though is that there was the hook, then there were 3 verses, then there was another hook, and then there was 1 verse. I just thought that was a bit of an odd thing, but I do see why they didn't. They had the verses back to back because otherwise the song would have been really long.
yeah,
But I don't know,
but
maybe 2 and 2 would be better. But I can't really complain. I think this was a pretty exceptional song.
definitely. And that is gonna finish it up for today.
With a plea that Thundercat and Flying Lotus make more beats together, because every beat they make together is crazy, no? Them
I think
Changes,
is a gift from God.
King in the Hill.
Whoa. This link up.
Need I go
on? Okay, I'm glad you liked it. We had some fun. We hope you had some fun. And we'll see you next time. If you made it this far, you too are a gift from God. From any deity you believe in. And if you don't, then you're just a gift from the ether.
Or a nice person.
Two nice people who probably created you on Valentine's Day. You never know. It'd be interesting to look at the data on that, but I can't be bothered. So, good night. This is the TimTom podcast. Jumping up into A&E. See ya.
And don't forget to let us know what you thought about all the and songs discussed today.
Yeah. Please rant and rave in the comments. It'd be funny to watch. Okay. See ya.